Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about overt benefits. Alright, so like for the past 18 years or so, I've been in the habit of reading about one book a week. I always have a book that I'm reading, and it's usually a non-fiction book. I can't remember the last time I read something in fiction, right? And I've read books on, mostly it was software development in the early days, so I was like behind the curve in technology, and I thought I have to learn how this stuff works. So I was reading all these computer books and everything like that, and I just got in the habit of doing it, and then I got into the self-help genre, and then into the business, and then the marketing, and sometimes the titles of the books that I'm reading are like really cheesy, and like the Think and Grow Rich is an example, a very popular one, but like there's other ones that are just as cheesy as that. So I'm so glad for the Kindle because, you know, people don't see the titles, right? So anyway, about 16, 17 years ago, I read this book called Jumpstart Your Business Brain, and I just found this recently in the loft. And the reason I've kept it and it hasn't gone to like the thrift store or anything like that is because I remember lots of things from this. It had like a big impact on me, and it was published in 2001. I got it in a bargain rack at a bookstore in London in like 2004, 2005, I think, and it's very early 2000s, like free Merwin Idea Scan access, a $500 value. So some website or something, you go put your business ideas in there and it will automatically tell you if it's a good idea, right? Really cheesy stuff. But he talks about some really good concepts in here. I think it's been published again in like 2010. Right, but one of the things I took away from it, he talks about the 3 marketing rules. He talks about number 1, the overt benefit. So you have to explain what your overt benefit is. Number 2 is give a real reason to believe, because even though you say my product or service can do this for you, lots of times you have to demonstrate that, make them believe that it's actually possible through testimonials or whatever. And then the other one is, what's the dramatic difference? What makes you different from the others, right? But it was that first rule of the overt benefit that always stuck with me. In fact, a lot of times I'll use that phrase, the overt benefit, and I remember it was from that book, Jumpstart Your Business Brain, that I read years ago, right? A few weeks ago we did a live stream and we were looking at a few different apps, and there was one app where we looked at and I said, I can't tell what this does, right? And it wasn't like, it's not a criticism of that person, because lots of times people have sent me apps and they'll say, can you have a look at my app? I'm not quite sure what it is. And I'll say, yeah, I'll have a look at it. By the way, I don't do it that often, so you know, it's better to do it on a live stream. I think the live stream is better if, you know, because my opinion is my opinion, and then at the live stream all of our opinions go into it. So if you can make the live stream this week, it's really good to do. And if you want us to look at your app, that's a good chance to do it. But lots of times people will send me their apps and I'll look at it and I can't tell what it does, right? And it's so obvious to the developer what it is, right? And it's so obvious to them that I'm almost like I don't want to tell them that I don't understand what it does, because my first instinct is to think it's probably me, right? It's probably me because I don't know enough, that I don't see the importance of this application, right? An example of this is if you go into a hardware store and you walk down a certain aisle and you see all these tools, and there's certain tools that, you know, they don't have a label on them or whatever, they're just hanging up, and you look at it, you think, dude, I have no idea what that's for, right? And I always think, if I go down an aisle like that in a hardware store and I see like a bunch of tools, I don't know what they're for, I don't think they're not doing a very good job of marketing this. I just think, dude, I think I'm not smart enough to be in this aisle. I'm not, you know, I don't feel welcome here. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm out of my comfort zone and things like that, which is something you don't want your clients or your customers or your users to feel like, right? They just don't get what it is you're trying to do. And the overt benefit is huge when you think about the relevance for keywords, right? When somebody's looking for something, I talked about it before on EarSpy. We used to just call it EarSpy, and then now it's called Ear Agent, but then we added Super Hearing onto it, and then we had Super Hearing Aid, which got me into trouble. But trying to think about what's the overt benefit and the thing that you get. For our language learning games, we started adding the suffix, you know, learn Chinese, learn Mandarin, learn German, because we knew that's what the overt benefit, that's what somebody who's looking for will try to find it, right? I read another book, and I can't, for the life of me, can't remember what the name of it was. Anyway, didn't have that big an impact on me, but it was a book on apps in the early days. It was like 2013 or something. I read it on my Kindle, And he said that when you title your app, you should just say what it does. Don't try to come up with a clever marketing name. Just say what it does, because because then it's easier for people to find. I don't necessarily do that because I think naming an app is one of the most fun things you can do, but it is, you do have to think a lot about what people are searching for, and it is that overt benefit that should be in your name, should be in your description, and ideally that first screenshot, it should say what it does. How does this help me? Which is difficult when you talk about things like entertainment. So like if your app is a game and it's just entertaining to pass a bit of time, it may not be easy to see the overt benefit. But you might be able to say, hey, if you like this game, you're gonna love this game. If you like this, you're gonna like this, because before they even know anything about it, then that's something to do. But anyway, the real thing I wanted to talk about is the overt benefit. If you're running a company, do you know what your overt benefit is? More importantly, do your clients know what your overt benefit? That's the overt part is. Like, it's not subtle. It's like, hey, this is what this does, right? And there's also the reason to believe and everything. The real reason to believe is, every time someone says, hey, I could put you on the front page of Google, right? It's not so much that it's like, I don't believe they can do it, right? That's the thing, right? It's not so much that I don't believe that they're not going to work or they're lying to me. I just don't believe they could do it, right? They don't demonstrate in any way that they could do it. The fact that they're spamming me and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's just my thoughts for the day. It is a good book. I'm going to reread this again because I was just browsing through it this afternoon, thinking, oh, you know what? So many years have passed that this might be really beneficial for me. So anyway, that is it for today. I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.